the footballer David Beckham, apparently we're told is going to retire. Alex Thomas is there. Alex, just saw this crosser literally seconds ago. What have you heard?
Yeah, just in the last few minutes, one British newspaper's gone with the news that David Beckham, after a glittering career stretching back more than 20 years, is going to retire from football. He's always made himself available, both for club and for country until now. He's 38 years of age and has been playing for Paris Saint-Germain in France. They won the French Championship for the first time in almost 2 decades this season. So maybe like the manager that he's most famous for playing under, Sir Alex Ferguson back at Manchester United, Beckham's chosen this moment to go out on a winning note. The news, as we say, coming from a British newspaper, but since been confirmed by England's Football Association via Twitter and other reputable sources as well. So although we've not heard from the man himself yet, we're pretty much 99.9% certain this news is true, that David Beckham, despite, we think, being offered another 1-year extension to his contract with French champions Paris Saint-Germain, has instead decided to stand down, which will now mean, Michael, that the post-mortem of his career begins. And there's no doubt that David Beckham's become a global sporting icon, and it's possibly that success as a brand image, more than a footballer, it's fair to say, that's going to define the Beckham career. He was very talented on the pitch, a very, very industrious midfield player with the sweetest of right foots, famous for his deadliness from set-piece kicks, i.e. free kicks or corner kicks. And he won many things with different clubs down the years. Seemed like he was going to be a one-club man when he was found as a talented teenage player by Manchester United, brought into their youth academy system, spotted by no less a man than Sir Bobby Charlton, the Manchester United legend from the Busby Babes days back in the 1950s and 60s. Charlton winning the World Cup with England and has been at Manchester United his whole career. But Beckham famously fell out with Sir Alex Ferguson. Ferguson kicking a boot in anger at Beckham, that then smacked against the player's forehead, leaving him with some very noticeable stitches in his eye, or certainly plasters. Beckham photographed driving away from that angry scene with those stitches, and then later left the club to join Real Madrid. He went on from there to the Los Angeles Galaxy. He had spells at AC Milan as well, and now Paris Saint-Germain. So some of the biggest and most famous clubs on the planet, picking up titles and trophies along the way, Michael. But it seems, after all those playing days, and despite keeping himself in pretty good shape, David Beckham, at the age of 38, is to quit his football career.
Yeah, and as you point out, in recent years, playing less and less football and more the brand, but, you know, a champion and revered in many ways by fans in 4 different countries, and that is highly unusual in and of itself. What's a guy like him do at 38?
I don't think he'll be short of offers. It's interesting, isn't it? Because at the height of his playing career, before he really became brand Beckham, the way he gets described in the later years, being more famous for his business interests off the field than his playing abilities on it, when he was really a world-class footballer and would have made many people's World 11 possibly, he did a lot of adverts for some of the brands that sponsored him, like Pepsi Cola, a worldwide brand. And there was a feeling at one stage that maybe he'd like to pursue an acting career. I think Beckham, although he speaks very well these days, has always possibly been let down by the way he expresses himself verbally. There's certainly no doubt that he's a huge winner with both men and women across the world for how he looks. He's a model as much as a footballer, a model footballer, if you like. But I think what David Beckham's done best, perhaps, is to maintain his popularity, which is very hard in the world of football. It's such a global sport. Everyone has an opinion on it, whether or not they only have a slight knowledge of the game. And he's almost universally liked. And I think that's because he's actually just worked very hard. He's from, you know, relatively working-class roots in East London originally. And he's just made the absolute most of the talent he had. He probably won't go down, well, he most certainly will not go down alongside the likes of Maradona, Pele, George Best, Zinedine Zidane, Lionel Messi, perhaps as the very greatest footballers. If you're coming to have that sort of barroom debate as to who's the greatest footballer of all time, David Beckham probably won't feature. But as far as being the most successful footballer of all time, he would have to be considered in anyone's top 5. because he's wrung every last ounce out of his football talents, and he's worked so hard, he's made so many friends, he's recognised very quickly how football's become huge business as well as continuing to be a sport, and he's at the very pinnacle of football as a global entertainment industry, Michael.